Hey guys. Welcome back, this is the story about what if Naruto was Gilgamesh's brother. Before we start, you know the drill, like, share and sub, this really supports the channel guys. Let's begin. The next day. Naruto woke up with a jump as she looked around the room she was in and began to panic, as it wasn't her room however began to calm down when she remembered what had happened and smiled. She looked in her bed to see her little sister Mito sleeping. Mito-chan, Naruto said, trying to wake her sister up. Ramen, Mito said dreamily, making Naruto giggle. Mito-chan, someone stealing your ramen, Naruto said, trying to suppress a laugh. When Naruto said those words, Mito jumped out of her bed and made a fell on her face, making Naruto laugh. Hearing the laughter, Naruto walked into the room to see Mito rubbing her head. Having fun? Naruto said, catching both girls' attention. Mito didn't know who the person was, so looked to her older sister to see her smiling at the man, causing the worries she had dissipate as she knew her sister knew the man. Yes, we are, Naruto said, surprising Mito as her parents said that her disappeared. It's nice to finally meet you, Mito the first, and the last time I had heard of you was when you were barely a month into development, Naruto said with a small smile, making Mito's eyes widen at the mysterious man. However, she noticed that the man looked a lot like her Ni-chan, so she made a connection between them. Hey, are you my Nai-san? Mito asked with hope that she found her brother. Yes, Mito, I'm your older brother, Naruto said as the girl ran and hugged him, making her hug her back. Yay, now the family is complete, now Ka-san and Tu-san will be happy, Mito said. However, she noticed a pained expression from both Naruto and Naruto. What's wrong, Nai-san, Ni-san? Mito asked. Mito-chan, we aren't going back to those people, Naruto said, making Mito upset. Why? Mito said as she was tearing up as she didn't understand. Mito, the people who both you and Naruto call parents aren't good people and would hurt both me and Naruto, so we took you away from them to keep you safe, Naruto explained, making Mito nod at her head as she knew her brother and sister wouldn't lie to her. So, where are we? Mito asked as she tilted her head. We are in my brother's kingdom, Uruk, Naruto said, surprising Mito who had stars in her eyes, making Naruto laugh. Your Nai-san is a king, Mito said, making Naruto giggle and Naruto laugh. Don't worry, you two, I'll take care of you like a proper big brother, now let's go see my mother and brother, Naruto said as he picked up Mito and Naruto walked next to him. By the way, my mother can be a bit clingy and my brother has a large ego but is a nice person, just be on your best behavior, okay? Naruto said, making Naruto and Mito nod their heads. 10 minutes later, throne room. When the group walked into the throne room, they saw a group of people surrounding Gilgamesh, talking to him and handing him stone tablets with Ninsen stand behind him and Sundari next to him, trying to keep everything in order. How do we get his attention? Naruto asked as the man on the throne looked busy. That's simple, Naruto said with a smirk, making Mito look at her brother. Hey mother, I'm back and brought my sisters with me. Naruto yelled, making everyone look at him, and Ninsen run at his put him in a bone-breaking hug, and poor Mito was in the middle, was a step away from death. It's good to see you, my baby boy, and are these your sisters? They look adorable. Ninsen said as she let go of the hug, allowing Naruto and Mito to breath. Yep, this is Naruto and Mito, my younger sisters, Naruto introduced his sisters, Naruto, Mito, this is my mother Ninsen, and the man on the throne is my older brother Gilgamesh. If he annoys you can either tell me or my mother and we'll put him in his place, Naruto spoke with a smirk, making Gilgamesh eye twitch. What was that, dear brother? I don't think I heard you properly, did you just say you and mother will put me in my place? Gilgamesh said with an eye twitch. Everyone in the room looked at Gilgamesh as if he were stupid, as it was well known that Gilgamesh was a mama's boy and will always listen to her, and that their king's younger brother was the only other person to match their king in combat other than Enkidu. When Gilgamesh looked at the people in the room look at him as if he were stupid, he had the decency to look away and mumble under his breath that he was their king and that he had been betrayed by his people. That made Naruto laugh. Cheer up, Gilgamesh, you're a lot better than what you used to be, always skipping out on you work, leaving it to the future. Leaving you at where you are now, Naruto said, although there was humor in his voice, earning a slap up the head by his mother. Don't pick on your brother, Naruto, I mean it is his fault that he constantly busy trying to fix all the problems that his past self had made, but at least he's getting better, Ninsen said with a bright smile, making Gilgamesh look annoyed. Naruto just smirked. Well, me and my sisters are off, I still have to show them around, Uruk, Naruto said as he starts walking to the exit with his sisters behind him waving goodbye. Uruk streets. So that was your mother and brother, they seem nice, Naruto said as the group walked down the streets with Naruto, occasionally pointing out stores and landmarks. They have mellowed out, Naruto said, causing his sisters to tilt their head in confusion. My mother and brother haven't always been the best people. My brother used to rule Uruk like a tyrant, doing whatever he wants, and as a goddess my mother lacked the ability to empathize with humans. However, with time they have become better people, Naruto continued to say, making Naruto nod at her head, and Mito still looked confused as she didn't understand. The group continued walk around for a little while longer until they got hungry, so Naruto took them to a store to grab a bit to eat. "Wow, Nai-chan, this place is amazing," 𝐫𝐞 said with stars in her eyes as she was nibbling on some bread. "I know," Naruto said with a smile, however that soon faded. "Now we need to have a serious talk, you are not allowed to leave, Uruk," Naruto said, seriously catching their attention. "The reason for this is to make sure you stay safe, as there are people and things that are a lot stronger here than back home, so as long as you stay here, then you will be perfectly fine," Naruto said. "Why?" Naruto asked. "Myself and my brother will prevent anything from happening," Naruto said. "Here in this world myself and my brother are at the pinnacle of power, making other people cautious to attack us, however the only ones stupid enough to attack us are the biblical factions," Naruto finished and then went into a detailed description of the world they are now in and what they can do. 2 hours later. "Now do you understand that this world works differently than the one you're from and that you need to train even more if you want to stand a chance against the hard hitters of the supernatural, as right now you have the strength as a high-class devil," Naruto told Naruto, who nodded her head at the explanation that her brother gave her. "So, where will be staying?" Naruto asked her brother. "You will be staying with me wherever I go, you girls come with me," Naruto said, "but for the time being, you will be staying in the ziggurat as that is the safest place," Naruto continued. But that said, the group walked back to the ziggurat with Naruto occasionally waving to the people he passed. Once they reached the ziggurat, they saw someone at the bottom looking around, however Naruto knew who it was and ran towards them and picked them up to the shock of Naruto and 𝐫𝐞. "Hey Irish," Naruto said as he hugged her and spun her around. "I'm fine, Naruto, I didn't think you were back yet," she said with a smile. "Can you put me down, I'm getting dizzy," she asked and Naruto put her down. "Nice, and who's this?" 𝐫𝐞 asked with her head titled to the side. "This 𝐫𝐞 and Naruto is my girlfriend 𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽, goddess of the underworld," Naruto introduced his girlfriend, making the siblings of look at her, making her embarrassed. "And nice to meet you, I'm 𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽," 𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽 said timidly as both Naruto and 𝐫𝐞 just stared at her, making her even more nervous. "Wow, you look pretty," 𝐫𝐞 said with stars in her eyes as she ran up to her. Thank you, but I don't look as good as my sister," 𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽 said, making Naruto snort with amusement. "No, you look better than that useless goddess," Naruto said as he continued to hug her, making her blush. "Who's her sister, Naruto?" Naruto asked her brother. "Ishtar, goddess of lust, Venus, war and many other concepts, however she pretty useless and is very greedy, but it's fun being around her as she makes any situation funny as she always messes up and someone has to go and save her, so it's pretty funny to laugh at her," Naruto said, making the others sweat drop. However 𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽 slapped his arm. "Please don't bully my sister, Naruto," 𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽 said with a cute pout, making Naruto sigh and pat her head. "𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽, these are my sisters Naruto and 𝐫𝐞, I was just showing them around," Uruk, Naruto told, and she nodded her head in understanding. "Well, I'm going to the throne room to meet up with my brother, would you like to spend time with my sisters?" Naruto asked his girlfriend, who nodded her head. "Sure, it will be fun to get to know them," 𝐸𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐽 said as she walked up to the girls and started to speak to the girls as Naruto walked into the ziggurat to the throne room to see his mother and brother arguing. "They'll be a good boy and take a break and let Sindri take over," Ninsen said, trying to drag Gilgamesh off his throne. However Gilgamesh was fighting back. "No, I'm too busy, I need to work out the next guard schedule for the northern front," Gilgamesh yelled back, making Naruto sigh. "Brother, you should know by now that you can never go against mother," Naruto said, catch their attention as Ninsen lets go of Gilgamesh and hugs Naruto. "At least you're a good boy, Naruto, listening to your mother," Ninsen says as she rubs her cheek against Naruto's, making him sigh. "Well, I've just come to tell you that something interesting is happening in Japan right now. There are 6 of the fake Excalibur pieces, there as well as that wish-granting system is about to activate for those Magus families," Naruto said, making Gilgamesh laugh. "Interesting indeed, I'm still surprised that the Shinto gods aren't throwing a fit at the blatant disrespect they are shown by the other factions, so are you going to get involved?" Gilgamesh asked, but he already knew the answer. "Need you ask if I am? I could care less about the fake Excalibur, but the Holy Grail system interests me to fight heroes of the past, now that is something that I cannot ignore." Naruto spoke with a smirk, making Gilgamesh smirk as well as they both knew that the heroes in the past were way stronger than the one in the current age. "Well, have fun," Gilgamesh said, making Naruto nod his head and walk out of the throne room to let his mother and Gilgamesh go back to arguing about taking a break. Meanwhile with Rias. Everything wasn't going as she planned now, she and the rest of her peerage are on their last legs as Kokabiel was able to easily overpower them and was forcing them on the defensive as no matter how hard they tried to fight back, Kokabiel was able to counter them. "Is this it? Is this all the power that you have? This is disappointing," Kokabiel said mockingly, making the young devils tighten their fists in anger. "I have to agree they are disappointing, but what else can you expect from mongrels?" A new voice said when they looked over the source, they saw Naruto wearing his golden armor. "Oh, who are you, lowly human?" Kokabiel said with a cocky smirk, making Naruto look at him. Lowly human. Naruto said, titling his head in confusion before starting to laugh. Me, a lowly human? Do you not know who you are speaking to, you lowly crow? Naruto said with anger, making everyone freeze at his tone. I am Naruto, brother of Gilgamesh and son of Ninsen. How dare some low-life compare me to a human? For that slight against me I will take your head, he said, as many golden ripples appear behind him with swords, spears, axes and many other types of weapons appear. However, what caught everyone's attention was that some of the weapons were demonic, holy or divine. I don't care who you are, you dirt devil, Fried yelled as he ran at Naruto with his Excalibur in his hand, using the sword's ability to make him faster. However, before he or anyone else could react, a sword shot out of the ripple and pierced into Fried's throat, making him fall forward gargling on his blood. Well, that was disappointing. Oh well, what can you expect from someone using a cheap copy of that sword? Naruto said, exasperated, making everyone look at him. What do you mean copy? Those swords were reformed into the original Excalibur, said Zenobia in shock that someone would insult the strongest holy sword. That sword will never be on the same level of power as the original Excalibur, as a sword forged from God could be broken, should say everything about the fake. The sword of promised victory does not break, as the true Excalibur was forged by the planet. Your God just copied the sword like a thief, Naruto said, making the devils flinch at the mention of God. So, what does he copy the sword after all? He's been dead since the Great War. Kokabiel yelled, shocking everyone but Naruto, who looked bored. So what if he's dead? I mean, the man was a thief. The man could never do anything properly. After all, the man used to belong to my faction, the Sumerian mythology. After all, his original name was 𝐤𝐢𝐽. However, he broke away and started his own faction, where he was the only god, and in his arrogance, took the term god as his own name, Naruto said, making all of those who didn't know that fact wear in shock. Now crow, prostrate yourself so that I can take your head. He continued arrogantly, making Kokabiel shake in anger. I refuse, he said, making a light spear appear and throw it at Naruto. However, Naruto just shot a sword from a ripple to cancel out the light spear. Ha 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 ha. This is the fight that I was waiting for. With that said, Kokabiel made another light spear and charged at Naruto, who just took the hilt of his sword and dragged it out of the ripple and started to clash against the light spear. Is this all you have, crow? Naruto asked rhetorically as he swung his sword at the light spear and broke it. Because this is disappointing, he finished as he kicked Kokabiel in the chest, pushing him away, making Kokabiel mad as he started to make multiple light spears in the air and shot them at Naruto, who casually opened his gate and shot out swords and spears to break them. The fight went on for a little while longer, with Naruto effortlessly counting all of Kokabiel's attacks with a bored look on his face to show how annoying the situation was to him. However, Kokabiel was the opposite, as he looked tired as he was trying his hardest to kill Naruto but couldn't, with his face being set in a permanent scowl. Why won't you just die? Kokabiel yelled out in anger and took deep breaths to calm himself. Because you're weak, Naruto said arrogantly. I didn't come here to kill you, as I was looking at the fake sword to see it. However, you insulted me, which is worthy of death. He finished and made another gate to open and shot a red-looking spear out and pierced though Kokabiel's head, making him drop down dead. Well, that was boring, Naruto said blackly, and then turned to Excalibur, picked it up and then threw it to Zenobia. Why are you giving us the sword back? Zenobia asked, confused to why he would give them the sword back. I have no need for that fake sword, as it would only sully my treasures, Naruto said as he walked away, fading into golden lights. Fayuki City with Shirupov. I thought today couldn't get any worse, but I was wrong, as now there was a man wearing blue chasing me with a spear. So, I decided to run into his basement to get away. However, the man still found me and went to attack me. However, before he could pierce me, though, someone stopped him and forced the man out of his house. I then went to look at what was happening. He saw two people fighting. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but when they separated, the man in blue ran off and the other person turned to me. I ask you, are you my master? The knight-looking person asked as they looked at me. Was my intelligent response to the question. I asked again, are you my master? The knight-looking person asked again. I think so, I said, and the knight-looking person nodded their head. Then I am your Saber class servant, you may call me Saber Master. The knight, now named Saber, said. However, before we could do anything we heard laughter, making Saber rise her guard to defend them. This is perfect. First I find the fake sword, now I find the wielder of the original sword. This knight has been the best, a voice said, making us confused. However, we weren't for long, as the owner of the voice revealed themselves. It was a man with golden hair, red eyes and whisker marks. However, what stood out the most was his golden armor. Who are you? Saber asked tensely. I'm Naruto, Uruk, nice to meet you, holy sword wielder, the man now named Naruto said with a smirk, making us tense even more. And what is your purpose here, Naruto? Saber asked, still ready to defend herself and me. If you have come to kill my master, then I will fight you, Saber finished as he raised his sword. Calm yourself, Saber, I am not here to kill you, or you master. I am here to watch as the Holy Grail war progresses, so please do entertain me. Naruto said with his smirk still intact, making Saber eye twitch. You remind me of that annoying arrogant king, Saber said, catching Naruto's attention. Oh, and does that king have a name? Naruto asked with interest. His name was Gilgamesh. That annoying king keeps shooting swords at me in the last war. Saber said. When Saber finished saying that, the air surrounding me and Saber it turned cold, making both me and Saber shiver. I see, so he was summoned. How interesting. Well then, no point lying about it, but I am his younger brother, Naruto said, catching Saber off guard. Well then, see you guys later. He finished and faded into gold particles. With Naruto. So he can be summoned into these Grail wars. Well, this makes these wars even more interesting, even more now that the King of Knights have been summoned. Naruto thought to himself as he was watching Fuyuki City from the sky, sensing all of the servants' energies. For the past 10 days Naruto was enjoying himself watching the Holy Grail war progress and all of the fights that were happening between the different servants. However, something felt off about the war. It felt like there was another servant, but its energy signature was mutated, so Naruto decided to leave it alone to make it even more interesting. Thing got even more interesting when another servant is summoned by the Grail. That turned out to be another Saber, which was Mordred, the son of King Arthur. It was funny to watch both Mordred and Artoria fight, but he didn't want the person who entertained him the most to lose, so he decided to intervene. Stop mongrels, Naruto yelled, catching Artoria's, Mordred's, Shiru's, Rin's and Archer's attention, making them look towards Naruto, who looked annoyed. Boy, why did you stop me from killing my father? Mordred yelled, making Naruto look at her with a piercing gaze, making her cower a bit. Because her master interests me, even more now that I'm looking at someone, Naruto said as his gaze went from Shiru to the tanned Archer, making Archer tense. I cannot allow you to take away my fun just yet, Naruto continued as he summoned his Gate of Babylon and used Enkidu to wrap around Mordred. It started to drag her away with him. Oh, let me go, Goldie. Mordred yelled as she tried to get out of the chain. However, she wasn't getting very far. No, Naruto simply replied, continue to entertain me, Shiru Amiya, and I promise you a reward. Naruto said. He walked into the distance, disappearing into the distance, leaving Shiru and his group. What does he mean that I interest him? Shiru pondered to himself. Whatever it is, you must be careful, master. If he's anything like his brother, then he is extremely strong, and I might not be able to help, Artoria said to her master. Time skip. After Naruto kidnapped Mordred, the two started talking about each other's past, and the two started to bond with Naruto, giving Mordred advice that she took to heart, and after the therapy Naruto gave her, she changed her life, determined not to let her anger towards Artoria ruin her life again. After some more talking, Naruto and Mordred entered a master-servant pact with Naruto, providing more mana to her, as well as to keep her with him after the Holy Grail War. Naruto and Mordred were now watching the fight between Artoria and Caster Tamamo no Mae. Artoria was slowly winning the fight because of her class advantage of magic resistance, as well as the fact Tamamo had no master, as she killed him for trying to take advantage of her. Are you going to interfere? Mordred asked as they continued to watch the fight. Yes, I would imagine that Amaterasu would be pleased that her child is free of that place to enjoy her life again, Naruto explained as he walked over to the fight and stopped Saber from delivering the finishing. Please wait, Saber, I need to talk to her, Naruto yelled, catching everyone's attention. Oh, great, he's here again, Rin mumbled in annoyance. Very well, Artoria said as she walked away from the downed Tamamo. Hello, child of Amaterasu, the mistaken calamity, Naruto said to Tamamo, who looked shocked and confused. How do you know that? Who are you? Tamamo asked in shock that someone knew her relationship with Amaterasu. I'm Naruto, brother of Gilgamesh and son of Ninsen, nice to meet you, Naruto introduced himself, making Tamamo's eye twitch at the mention of Gilgamesh. Great, you're related to the spoiled child, Tamamo huffed, making Naruto laugh at her name for his brother. Don't worry about my brother, he managed to grow up and become a fit ruler of Uruk. It's funny watching him for his pay for mistakes as he constantly overworked and has died a few times from exhaustion. Naruto said with a laugh, making everyone sweat drop at what the king of heroes was reduced to. So, what did you save me for? Tamamo asked, making Naruto look at her. I'm going to free you of the throne and send you back to your mother, and to do that we need to enter a master-servant pact if you agree. Naruto told her, making her eyes widen in shock that he wanted to take her back to her mother. Yes please, I would like to very much be back with my mother, Tamamo stammered out, happy to be with her mother again. Once their conversation finished, both Naruto and Tamamo entered a contract with each other. While they were talking, Mordred pulled Artoria away to have a convocation, and once they came back both looked like there was a weight off their shoulder. Thank you once again for your help, Naruto said, walking away with both Mordred and Tamamo at his side. Time skip. Naruto, Mordred and Tamamo spent some more time to get to know each other, such as what happened in their past, as well as their goals for the future. However, the group had to pause their discussion as they watched the fight between Shiru and Archer. Both Mordred and Tamamo were shocked at the reveal of 𝐼𝐸 being a future version of 𝐫𝐸𝐼𝐼, who was betrayed by the people he saved. However, Naruto could see it happening, as he knew 𝐫𝐸 would continue down the self-destructive quest to be a hero of justice. The group was pleasantly surprised when 𝐫𝐸 confronted his future and decided to stay on the same path. However, he decided that he wants to be with his friends to do it. Time skip. The Holy Grail War was now entering the final stages. Gilgamesh, 𝐼𝐸, decided to show himself after killing Berserker and Ilya to 𝐫𝐸 and his group and went to kill 𝐫𝐸. However, 𝐼𝐸 pushed him out the way and was impaled by multiple swords. Gilgamesh, 𝐼𝐸, decided to use Shinji Matu as the core for the Grail and used a Grail to produce Grail mud that embodied all the world's evil. 𝐫𝐸 and his group decided to spit up Rin and Artoria would destroy the Grail. Meanwhile, 𝐫𝐸 will face Gilgamesh. 𝐫𝐸 decided the best way to fight Gilgamesh was to use his reality marble to fight Gilgamesh on even footing and was doing very well until Gilgamesh summoned 𝐸𝐴. However, before he could use it, a voice called out, "Wow, to think that you would need to use that sword, what a joke." When Gilgamesh and 𝐫𝐸 turned to see who spoke, they could see Naruto in his golden armor while giving Gilgamesh a smirk. "Who do you think you are, mongrel?" Gilgamesh yelled, making Naruto laugh, making Gilgamesh angrier. "You calling me a mongrel is an insult to both me, you and our mother," Naruto simple replied, making Gilgamesh pause. "Did you just say our mother? Who are you?" Gilgamesh asked, making Naruto look at him with a smile. "Ah, sorry, I'm your younger brother, two-third god and son to Ninsen." Naruto introduced himself, and seeing my brother in his prime having trouble fighting a child is disappointing. The you who is ruling Uruk would probably kill himself, Naruto mumbled to himself, but Gilgamesh heard him. "Wait, my kingdom still stands, ha 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 ha, take that, you lousy goddess, my kingdom is still standing." Gilgamesh laughed to himself, but before he could talk again, he was trapped in 𝐸𝐸's chains. "What, how can you use my gates?" he yelled, making Naruto sigh. "Because I have my own, we even share our treasures between our gate, which makes us richer and have a larger collection," Naruto explained. "Now I'm going to send you to our mother, this way you can help yourself run your kingdom." Naruto continued. Before Gilgamesh could talk, he vanished. Naruto then turned to 𝐫𝐸, who collapsed from exhaustion, and Naruto picked him up and then started to walk towards Artoria and watched her destroy the Grail when Rin and Shinji were safely away. Before Artoria vanished, Naruto put his finger in her mouth, making her reappear fully intact. Thanks for helping me remain," Artoria said to Naruto, who nodded his head. After Naruto made sure that 𝐫𝐸 and his group of friends were safe and that the servant that he had a pact with remained, he then turned to 𝐫𝐸. "Congratulations, 𝐫𝐸, you have managed to entertain me, and so I will give you this." Naruto threw a pair of familiar looking swords towards 𝐫𝐸. "Those are the real Kanshu and Byakuya, not those projected fakes, and also this." Naruto then threw a stack of paper at 𝐫𝐸 that contains a lot of information about the world, both sciences and supernatural. Naruto then walked to Artoria and started to speak with her in private. "Thanks for your help, Naruto." 𝐫𝐸 thanked the person who saved him from Gilgamesh. "Don't mention it, I'm taking Artoria with me back to Uruk has to get her set up with a new life," Naruto said as he walked over to his group and Artoria and vanished back to Uruk. Uruk. Once the group appeared from the flash, they were in the throne room of Uruk and were met by a funny sight. Gilgamesh, Caster, was relaxing watching his younger self fix all the mistakes that he made while he was busy collecting all of his treasures. Ninsen was also in the throne room and was giving Gilgamesh, 𝐼𝐸, a stern glare, making Gilgamesh, 𝐼𝐸, whimper. Naruto and his group decided that it would be better to leave them to what they were doing and quickly left the throne room with Naruto, giving them a tour of Uruk. Naruto was currently walking around Uruk with his sisters and 𝐸𝐴. The group had woken up and ate breakfast as a family with Naruto, Naruko, Mito, 𝐤𝐢𝐳𝐴MESH, Caster, Ninsen and 𝐸𝐴 sitting around the table talking and laughing. Meanwhile, Gilgamesh, 𝐼𝐸, was working hard being the king of Uruk. After a while, the group slip up to do their own things. "So Oni-chan, I heard you fought someone powerful, did you have fun?" Naruko asked Naruto, who looked confused. "Someone powerful? When did I fight someone powerful?" Naruto thought confused and then remembered what she was talking about. "You mean Kokabiel? He wasn't strong, he was just a pest that needed to be killed," Naruto told her, making her nod at her head. "Well, everyone here said that he was strong enough to survive a fight with God and Lucifer," Naruko told him. "That may be true, but there is a difference between survival through strength and cowardice, and sadly, Kokabiel is a coward and probably only attacked God and Lucifer from a distance, and our fight was over quickly," Naruto told Naruko, who nodded her head in understanding. "Word in the underworld is that there will be a peace conference between the biblical faction will be held at Kuo, and the topic of Kokabiel will come up," 𝐸𝐴 spoke up, catching the group's attention. "Of course it will, the devils will try to get reparations for the attack on their heiresses, even though they are perfectly fine." Naruto was about to continue to talk but stopped, making everyone look at him. "Oni-chan, what's wrong?" Naruto asked her older brother in worry, however calmed down when she saw a grin split his face. "Oh, Naruto, this is perfect, we can use this peace summit to make our own demands from the biblical factions for the constant attacks against Uruk," Naruto said as he continued to grin. However, when the girls heard him, they had matching grins, even the shy 𝐸𝐵𝐸𝐸𝐸. "But wouldn't they just brush us off because of their larger force?" 𝐸𝐵𝐸𝐸𝐸 spoke her thoughts, making Mito and Naruto frown. However, Naruto kept grinning. "That was true in the past, however recently we have had new additions. I'd like to mention Tiamat, the primordial mother, the king of knights, the knight of treachery, the fox priestess of peerless beauty are just a few, and each one could kill an army, and one of them could destroy the planet," Naruto spoke out, making everyone's grin return. "So, what is the plan then?" Naruto asked her brother. "I go talk to Amaterasu about what's going on. I will also take Tamamo with me so that she can meet her mother. Meanwhile you, 𝐸𝐵𝐸𝐸𝐸 and Gilgamesh, Castor, collect evidence of their past deeds so that we can make a case against them. Naruto, you can take Mito to my mother to look after her." Naruto told them his plan, making them nod their heads and walked off to do their tasks they were asked to do. With Gilgamesh, Castor, Naruto and 𝐸𝐵𝐸𝐸𝐸. After Naruto and 𝐸𝐵𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 dropped Mito off with an ecstatic Ninsen, Naruto and 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 found Gilgamesh and told him Naruto's plan, and they started collecting incidents reports about the attacks on Uruk, the attempts at espionage, as well as any other crimes committed against Uruk's people. "So, do we have everything to prove their crimes?" Gilgamesh asked everyone, making them nodded their heads in agreement. "Great, now we need to wait for Naruto to get back and then we can put our plan into motion," Gilgamesh told everyone in the room. With Naruto and Tamamo were walking through the streets of Kyoto to a temple for Amaterasu so that Naruto could force his way to Takamagahara. Once both Naruto and Tamamo was in the temple, Naruto walked past Tamamo and stuck his hand forward, making it disappear, and started moving it like a curtain, revealing a giant mountain on a cloud with Japanese buildings on top of it. "Welcome home, Tamamo," Naruto said as he walked forward with Tamamo soon walking behind him. "Thank you for bringing me back home, Naruto. However, don't you think this entrance will cause trouble?" Tamamo said with worry, making Naruto smile. "Of course, it will, and that is the plan after all," Naruto said, and soon after both Naruto and Tamamo felt three presences coming towards them. After a while, the three presences were in front of them revealed to be two women and one man, and all three of them had a stern look on his face and were revealed to be the Shinto Trinity. "Amaterasu. Tsukiyomi. Susanoo. Halt, state your name and intention," the woman asked sternly, taking note of both intruders. "Is that any way to greet your guests, Amaterasu, especially when they bring gifts?" Naruto told Amaterasu as he pointed to Tamamo, who waved her hand. "Hi mom," Tamamo said, making any stern atmosphere fly out of the window as Amaterasu jumped to Tamamo and brought her into a tight hug. "My baby girl is back home," Amaterasu cried as she hugged her daughter closely, making Naruto, Tsukiyomi and Susanoo sweat drop at the scene. "So yeah, other than bringing her here, I came to talk about the biblical faction and their actions," Naruto told the other god standing there dumbly as they watched the scene of Tamamo struggle to escape Amaterasu's grip. 5 minutes later. After 5 minutes of watching Tamamo struggle with her mother's attention, they separated and they began their talks about the biblical factions and their recent actions, as well as Naruto's plan for their peace meeting. Those arrogant bastards. They gain use or lands to hold a meeting with the other biblical leaders and don't tell us. This could be seen as an act of war, with them conspiring during the meeting at how best to attack the rest of the world. Let's not forget that they have more forces than any other pantheon. Susanoo exclaimed to everyone in the room after hearing about the peace meeting. "I know, and I wouldn't put it past them to plan something like that. This is why I have come here to tell you, so that you can come with me to demand reparations or declare war," Naruto told the gods in the room. "What?" The gods in the room yelled at Naruto in shock. "Are you out of your mind? We would win, but the losses would be huge," Tsukiyomi yelled out to Naruto in surprise. "That is why the Sumerian pantheon would like to enter a peace, economical and military treaty with the Shinto pantheon. However, in return for this treaty, you must allow the kingdom of Uruk to move to the lands of Japan so that we can defend each other," Naruto told the gods in the room, confusing them. "We know that Gilgamesh is powerful, however he alone cannot win a war with a biblical faction," Amaterasu told Naruto. However, they were further confused when they saw Naruto's smile. "Well, that is true, however things have changed within the last few years. I am on the level of Gilgamesh, and we recently have had powerful people join our faction, for example, Tiamat the primordial goddess, Artoria the king of knights, Mordred the knight of betrayal, another version of Gilgamesh, as well as our own personal nine-tailed fox with the power of a god." Naruto spoke with a smirk as he saw them pale. "How?" Amaterasu stuttered in fear of the names listed. "The heaven feel rich will otherwise know as the Holy Grail War made it possible for them to be summoned as heroic spirits. As for Tiamat, she was reincarnated as a dragon, but we were able to give her a divinity back. Naruto told everyone in the room, making them nod their heads. "Is that how you gave me my daughter back? Was she summoned as a servant?" Amaterasu asked, making Naruto nod his head. "So, I would like to ask, as time is of the essence, would you like to enter the treaty stated above?" Naruto asked the gods, who looked at each other before looking at Naruto. Well, we would like to enter the treaties mentioned above and will allow the kingdom of Uruk to move to the lands of Japan. Amaterasu told Naruto, making him smile. "Thank you for your time," Naruto said as he walked away and faded away in golden particles. "Ara, he's rather handsome," Amaterasu said, making Susanoo look annoyed, and Tsukiyomi had a blush. However, Tamamo looked angry. "No, he's mine and I won't give him to you," Tamamo yelled, making everyone look at her, making her blush. "Oh, I might have to take him from you," Amaterasu said playfully, making Tamamo pounce on her. Uruk. Naruto walked into the throne room of the ziggurat and saw Artoria, Ereshkigal, Gilgamesh, Castor, Gilgamesh, Archer, Ishtar, Mordred, Naruto and Tiamat standing in the room talking to each other, waiting for him. Once Naruto walked into the room fully, everyone turned and looked at him, making him walk into the center of the room, making sure everyone was paying attention. "The Shintos have agreed to the treaty and have given us permission to move Uruk to the lands of Japan. This means that our plan is a go to interrupt the peace meeting with the biblical faction with a justifiable reason." Naruto spoke, making everyone nod their heads. "That is great. I shouldn't take us long to move the kingdom, so what is the plan when we interrupt the meeting?" Ishtar asked, making everyone look at her. "We are going to send our heavy hitters to represent us, so that me, Archer, Naruto and Tiamat will represent us, while everyone else will be backup." Gilgamesh, Castor, making everyone nod their heads again. 3 hours later, with the biblical faction. The 3 faction leaders arrived on the grounds of Kuo with a small fraction of their army as their bodyguards in case war was to break out and they needed to protect their leader from the other factions. The 3 factions at this peace meeting are the angels, represented by Archangel Michael, the new leader of the angels. Then there are the fallen angels, represented by Azazel, and finally the devils, represented by 𝐸𝐴Z𝐴 and Seraphol. Within the room were the entourage of each faction: Arena, Vale, Riaz and her peerage, along with Sona and her peerage. "Great, everyone is here. We can start our peace meeting to discuss peace between our factions to ensure the safety of our factions in the future," Azazel said to move the meeting along to the main reason why they gathered. However, before they could continue, they felt 5 massive presences walking towards them, putting them on guard. "Oh, you lot have some nerve to hold an important meeting like this without informing the proper guardians of this land," a voice called out from the door. Once they turned to look who was there, they saw Gilgamesh, Castor, Gilgamesh, Archer, Naruto, Tiamat and Amaterasu. "Who are you? And why have you come here?" Michael asked sharply to the people walking into the room. "My name is Naruto, those 2 over there are Gilgamesh, the lady with horns is Tiamat, and the other lady with the tails is Amaterasu, and we are here to represent the Sumerian Shinto faction." Naruto introduced everyone, making the leaders in the room pale at the name drops. "I see, and what can we do for you today?" 𝐸𝐴Z𝐴 asked the group nervously. "We are here to ask for reparations from both the devil and fallen angel factions for the actions they have committed against both the kingdom of Uruk and the lands of Japan. That they have constantly done," Gilgamesh, Castor, said to the leaders in the room. "And these crimes are?" Azazel asked, worried. "Constant attacks on the northern wall of Uruk, killing the innocent people of both Uruk and Japan, attempts at espionage of both Uruk and Japan, kidnapping of the people of Uruk and Japan, the extermination of Yokai races and forced reincarnations of Yokai races into devils and fallen angels." Naruto listed off the accusations, with him throwing papers onto the table to prove their claims. "They were caused by rouges of our factions, and we hold no responsibility over them," 𝐸𝐴Z𝐴 said in their defense. However, the intruders didn't look convinced. "You are all faction leaders, you must lead your people properly and not allow them to get away with what they want, for they will continue to do immoral acts. You must properly discipline them. Your laid-back leadership has caused problems across the planet that we and other pantheons have had to clean up until. However, we, the Sumerian Shinto faction, have had enough and demand that you give us the proper reparations or else we will declare war." Amaterasu spoke out, making all of the leader pale at the thought of war. "And what are your demands?" Michael spoke, catching everyone's attention. "We want a list of the rouge elements from each of your factions, for example rouge priests, fallen angels and stray devils, and the crimes they have committed. This is to prevent any more accidents and so that we can kill these rouge elements 𝐸𝐴Z𝐴 since you're lacking. We are also demanding financial support be given to those that have lost a member of their family to your rouge elements, and our final demand is that the devil and fallen angel underworld Lilith and the biblical heaven to be closed off from Earth so that the only way to go to Earth is through the proper channels to make sure your rouge elements stay in the underworld." Gilgamesh, Castor, told everyone in the room, making the look upset. "You cannot do that, it isn't fair to us," 𝐸𝐴Z𝐴 spoke out in rage, making everyone look at him. Yes, it is fair, your pantheon is the only one causing problems for the world and cannot get along with the other pantheons in the world, and besides, we are being kind enough to tell you close of your borders, or have you forgotten who you are speaking to? If that is the case, let me remind you. We have Gilgamesh, the cornerstone of the gods, the person who connects heaven to the earth and can easily break your link to it. We also have 𝐸𝐵𝐻𝐾𝐽, the first goddess of the underworld, who still holds administrative privileges over the underworld as a whole, that can break your link. And finally we have Tiamat, someone so strong she can face some of the other pantheons of this world and destroy them by herself, Naruto told the constantly paling people in the room. Then this is war, as I refuse to give in to your demands, 𝐸𝐴𝐵𝐻 yelled at the group of 5 who didn't even look worried. I must agree with him, as I also refuse, 𝐴𝐵𝐻 said to the group. I agree with my fellow leaders, Michael spoke out, making Gilgamesh, Castor, sigh. Very well then, as the first act of war consider your borders closed off from the earth and other pantheons, meaning that the forces that you brought here are the only ones you can rely on at this moment. Gilgamesh, Castor, told them as he and the group started to disappear. Good luck mongrels, Gilgamesh, Archer, told them as they finally disappeared, leaving the biblical leaders alone. Crap, they played us, and we walked right into their trap, 𝐴𝐵𝐻 said to his fellow leaders, making them nodded their heads. But why would they do this now? Seraphil pondered to herself, however everyone heard her. They must have planned this for a while, however they didn't have the forces in case of the Sumerian pantheon, and in the case of the Shinto pantheon, a defensible position. However, with them forming their combined faction, then Uruk gets the numbers needed to wage war, and Japan gets an impenetrable fortress for a base to plan out their attacks. We need to be careful. If what they said is true, then we won't get reinforcements anytime soon and need to wait for our situating to improve. 𝐴𝐵𝐻 told everyone his thoughts on the matter, making them grimace at the truth behind his words. We will be perfectly fine, as we have the red and white dragon emperors, Rhea said smugly, making 𝐴𝐵𝐻 and Michael look at her as if she was stupid. Has the power of destruction you inherited destroyed your brain cells? If so, then let me remind you what we are up against: the Shinto gods, which are some of the strongest gods in the world. Then we also have the Yaokai faction, which is on par with the devil faction in terms of numbers. We also have the Sumerian gods Ishtar, 𝐸𝐵𝐻𝐾𝐽, Ninsun, and finally the primordial mother Tiamat, who are some of the strongest and oldest gods on the planet. And then finally we have the strongest members, Gilgamesh, who is said to be as strong as Great Red, and there is another version of him. 𝐴𝐵𝐻 told her with a shake of her head and a sigh. Well, I call an end to this meeting so that we can plan our war plans. 𝐸𝐴𝐵𝐻 making the other leader nod their heads and teleport away from the meeting room. With Naruto. Naruto walked into the throne room of Uruk that has been moved the same space as Kyoto, but in a different dimension, to see the Shinto trinity, Ishtar, 𝐸𝐵𝐻𝐾𝐽, Tiamat, Ninsun, Naruto, Artoria, Mordred, Tamamo, Yasaka, and both versions of Gilgamesh making plans for the war. So, I take it that we are in a defendable position. Naruto voiced out, making everyone turn to look at him. That is right, we are in a different dimension. However, if Kyoto comes under attack, Uruk will swap location with Kyoto, with the people being none the wiser to defend Japan and Takamagahara. The dangers on the walls are loaded and are prepared to fire. Gilgamesh, Castor, said, making Naruto nod his head in agreement. We have also sent what has happened at the meeting, and that the biblical faction refuses to meet to our reasonable demands, and to make sure the biblical faction won't receive support from other pantheons without being seen in the wrong. Amaterasu added her piece into the convocation. That's good, so all we need to do now is wait for them to attack us to make them look even worse in the eyes of the other pantheons, Naruto said, with the people nodding their heads. And once they attack us, we will open their borders to allow them to receive backup, and then we push them back to their respective homes, Ishtar said, making everyone from the Sumerian pantheon look at her. Are you okay? Gilgamesh, Archer, asked Ishtar. Yeah, why? Ishtar replied to the question, confused why they would have had asked. You just said something smart, Gilgamesh, Castor responded to her question, making her mad. I am a goddess, of course I'm smart. Ishtar yelled back to everyone in the room who didn't look convinced. What's going on? Tsukiyomi asked Naruto as she and the other people in the room were confused. Ishtar might be one of the oldest goddess, but she pretty useless, and her greed can give devils a run for their money. The only reason why she isn't dead is because we have to constantly fix the problems she has made. She lost a bowl of heaven one time, and we had to go find it. Naruto told everyone in the room, making the sweat drop at the useless goddess. Anyway, Ishtar is right, this is a perfect opportunity to send them back home and keep them there, Susanoo told everyone in the room. Everyone nodded their head, and they started making plans on how to attack the biblical forces and the best way to prevent them from coming back to the human world to stop humanity to being made advantage of. It has been a month since the declaration of war the Sumerian Shinto faction declared against the biblical faction, and so far, the only thing that has happened was the biblical faction trying to spy on the united pantheons, however that failed due to the fact that the yokai were moved to the dimension where Uruk was for their protection, and the biblical faction couldn't find Uruk to try and spy upon. The Sumerian Shinto faction just kept making plans and making defendable positions that act as a line of defense to protect Uruk and other key places in Japan. The Sumerian Shinto pantheon plan to smear the credibility of the biblical faction worked perfectly, as no one wants to support the biblical faction due to their actions. Naruto was currently walking with 𝐸𝐵𝐺 through Kyoto on a date with each other, as they often visit stores for Naruto to buy anything that catches 𝐸𝐵𝐺 attention, and then storing it in his Gate of Babylon. "So, what do you think the future has in store for us?" 𝐸𝐵𝐺 asked as she looked at Naruto, who let a tiny smirk cross his face. "Who knows? Anything could happen," Naruto said, mysteriously, making 𝐸𝐵𝐺 look at him with a pout. "You know what is going to happen, and you're not going to tell me, are you?" 𝐸𝐵𝐺 asked cutely, using the puppy dog eyes, trying to convince him to tell her. "Nope, I'm not, but I can say it will be fun." Naruto continued walking forward, trying his hardest to ignore the ultimate attack that all women know. "You're no fun," 𝐸𝐵𝐺 sulked as she puffed her cheeks out. "And you're too cute for your own good," Naruto replied as he turned to face her and pinch her cheeks. "Oh we," 𝐸𝐵𝐺 moaned out in discomfort. "We should head back now, it is getting late," Naruto told her as he grabbed her hand and led her to the 𝐫𝐴𝐵𝐺. Once they were in the throne room of the 𝐫𝐴𝐵𝐺, they saw everyone talking to each other, while Gilgamesh, archer, was being the loudest with his constant shouts, calling people mongrels. However, he was stopped by Ninsen, giving him a piercing glare, shutting him up, much to the amusement to everyone else in the room. "Ahaha, it is truly fun to watch my brother be put into his place by our mother," Naruto laughed out loud, making everyone look at him. However, both Gilgamesh's eyes were twitching in annoyance, but the best reaction was from Ninsen, who gave Naruto a beaming smile. "Of course, after all, my baby boys are all good boys that listen to their mother," Ninsen replied, making Naruto and both Gilgamesh embarrassed. However, everyone else laughed. However, the laughter didn't last, as everyone in the room sensed a large amount of people coming towards Kyoto. When the group looked out the doors, they saw a large amount of fallen angels and devils, wearing different type of armor and using different weapons ranging from light spears to cursed swords. Quickly getting everything prepared, Gilgamesh caster activated his spells and swapped Kyoto with Uruk, with the dingers prepared to fire. After a few seconds, they launched volley after volley of magical bombardment at the approaching forces. "Well, this is sudden of them, but oh well," Amaterasu said, much to the other people's agreement. "Oh well, I would like to see how well they handle the combined power of humanity. These mongrels should feel lucky to experience such a thing," Gilgamesh, archer, said, much to the agreement of his other self and Naruto. "Well said, now then how should we counterattack?" Naruto said, making everyone think about what to do next. "Maybe you should go face the rest of their forces by yourself, Naruto or Archer, this way we can keep the other players close to our chest." Amaterasu spoke out, getting nods of agreement from the other people in the room. "Well, I don't mind going to face them, and besides, it might be fun to face their leaders," Naruto said and started walking off before Gilgamesh, archer, could say anything, making him annoyed. "But the biblical leaders? What the hell happened? Where is Kyoto?" 𝐸𝐵𝐺 yelled in shock as one moment his and the other leaders' forces were getting close to Kyoto when all of a sudden Kyoto disappeared, and in its place was Uruk with all of their cannons pointing at their forces and fired a barrage of magical bombardment. This must have been their plan. They must have put Uruk in a different dimension that occupied the same space as Kyoto so they could swap between them during an attack. This also explains why we couldn't find Uruk. 𝐤𝐳𝐭𝐻 analyzed and informed the other leaders. "We need to pull our troops back," Michael said as he summoned a horn and blew into it, making a loud trumpet sound, making all of their forces turn back and run away. However, before they could get too far, golden ripples opened above them and rained swords down on them, killing 1/4 of the retreating forces. "Ahahaha, this is the best thing that I have ever seen. Your whole faction that uses and puts down humanity is now running away like cowards." A voice laughed out as a large gold and green flying machine made itself known to the leaders. "Who are you? And what does humanity have to do with that bombardment?" 𝐸𝐵𝐺 yelled in anger. "Me? I'm Naruto, the son of Ninsen. As for the bombardment that you all experienced was the collective power of humanity. Those magical blasts were in fact a weapon made and welded by a human. Surely you have heard of my brother's tale. It did say that he collected all of humanity's treasures. What you experienced just now was some of humanity's treasures being put to use." Naruto told the shocked leaders that what they experienced was humanity's power. "That cannot be right. Humanity has never had the power to stand against the supernatural," 𝐤𝐴𝐵𝐺 said out loud, making Naruto sigh and shake his head. "This is the problem with the supernatural. They think that they're superior to humanity when it is the other way around. Do you know why there is so little of the Sumerian pantheon? It's because the people of Babylonia stopped believing in them and the only ones still here today are the one the people from Uruk believe in. The supernatural only exists today is because humanity cannot let go of the mystery of the old world and embrace the new world's logic, and you can blame your god for that. Naruto informed the leader to their shock. What do you mean that we can blame father for humanity not letting go of mystery? Michael asked for the leaders. When the biblical faction went to war with each other, humanity was stuck in the middle, and those that survived the fighting passed the stories down to their children, and they did the same until a small spark of the old world was buried into the heads of all humanity, and why they cannot move on to the ways of logic. Not that I'm complaining though, I like the world and how it is after all, I find it more fun than if the supernatural didn't exist. Naruto told the group of leaders. The leader were so into their shock that they didn't see Naruto use his gates of Babylon to shoot swords at them till the last minute, making them narrowly dodge the attacks. When they turned to see Naruto, they saw that he had a smirk on his face and more ripples behind him. 𝐤𝐳𝐽 in an attempt to count Naruto's attack make 100 to light spears and shot them towards Naruto, who shot out swords and spears from his gate of Babylon and hit all of the light spears that were coming towards him. However, Naruto's gate of Babylon kept shooting towards the leaders, making them fly away to get some distance. Michael makes a thin light blade and rushes to attack Naruto, who took his sword out of the gate and clashed his sword against the light blade, and after a second they broke the sword lock with Naruto pushing Michael back, allowing Michael to get a better look at the sword Naruto was using. How do you have that sword that was created by my father? Michael yelled, making Naruto look at the sword that he was using to fight with. So, the angel faction is at it again, stealing weapons from heroes of the past. This is the original Durandal, not that oversized and bulky version that your god made. Once again you have proven that the biblical faction is nothing more than a copy. Even the angels are a copy of the Valkyries. Is anything your god do? Original Naruto mocking the angels, making Michael mad and rush towards Naruto, who sidesteps the attack and then punch him in the face, sending Michael to the other leaders. Stay back, 𝐤𝐳𝐽, I'll handle this. 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻 spoke to his fellow leader and stepped forward with a red aura surrounding him. Oh, now the 𝐶𝐸 wants to fight me, let's see how you do against the sword, Naruto said as he dropped Durandal to the ground, making it disappeared into gold particles and opened a gate next to him with a sword handle coming out of it. Naruto grabbed a weapon handle and drawn it out from the gate, however upon doing so a large holy presence made itself known. What is that weapon? 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻 asked in terror as he felt that if he got a paper cut from the sword, it would end his life. This sword is the prototype for Caliburn and Graham called Meritage and has the same holy presence as Caliburn. Naruto spoke with a smirk and launched himself at 𝐸𝐴ZH's, who dodged the sword in fear of being cut. 𝐸𝐴ZH, seeing a chance to attack, aimed his power of destruction at Naruto and launched a ball of destruction at him, however it was cancelled out when a sword shot out a ripple and hit the ball of destruction. Using the smoke screen as a distraction, Naruto launched more swords from his gate and pierced 𝐸𝐴ZH's in both of his arms and legs, making him collapse to the floor. Take your forces and leave here and don't come back, you mongrels, Naruto said as he walked up to 𝐸𝐴ZH's and picked him up and threw him at 𝐤𝐳𝐽 and then summoned hundreds upon hundreds of fates behind him with swords, spear, polearms, axes and lances, all pointed towards the leaders, who quickly used teleportation magic to teleport away with the remnants of their army. All is going to plan, you worthless dogs, you should be grateful I let you live. Naruto sneered as he walked away back to the 𝐫𝐴𝐽𝐻. In the meeting room. Wow, Ai-san is really strong, he was able to fight all those people by himself, Naruto spoke out in shock as she watched her brother decimate angels, fallen angels and devils. But he is Naruto after all, he is 2/3 god and has all the world's treasures. Amaterasu spoke to the girl. It's a shame my sister has him, otherwise I would have stole him. Ishtar spoke out, however quickly paled when she saw the glares Ninsen and both version of Gilgamesh were giving her. You're not touching my son, brother Ninsen, and both versions of Gilgamesh yelled at the goddess, making her pale even more. She not lying though, I might have to steal him away from you, 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻, Amaterasu said and was going to tease the death goddess even more, however stopped when everyone in the room felt a terrifying aura. When everyone looked at the source of the aura, they found 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻 giving everyone a dark glare that promised otherworldly pain and suffering. You won't be touching my Naruto, you harlot, 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻 spoke out in a quiet whisper, however everyone heard her and paled to an ashen white. CC clammed down 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻, they are only showing an interest in Naruto, maybe you should talk to her later about it. Gilgamesh caster spoke out, making the aura disappeared, however the look in 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻's eyes didn't disappear. Very well, we will talk about it later, same goes for you Artoria, Mordred and Tamamo, don't think I don't notice the look you keep giving him. 𝐸𝐴Z𝐻 said out loud, making the named women blush. What does our brother have that we don't? Gilgamesh, Archer, whispered to his other version to make sure that he wasn't heard by the other women. But more like what you lack is I'm already in a relationship with Sindri, and to answer your question, an ego that he can control, Gilgamesh, caster, told his counterpart, making him blush red in anger. "I have an ego fitting of the king Gilgamesh," Archer whispered back to his counterpart. "Women don't like it when you have an ego larger than the planet, so that is why me and Naruto went to see a therapist to get our egos in control. I'll give you their number later." Gilgamesh, Caster, whispered back, making Gilgamesh. Archer nodded his head in agreement. Naruto finally walked back into the ziggurat and 𝐸𝐵 ran up to his and hugged him, making him smile and hug her back. "Well, that was no fun, that was barely above a spar that I would have with Naruto. I didn't even need to use 𝐸𝐾𝐻 or any of my more serious weapons," said out loud, making Gilgamesh, Caster, nod his head. "What do you expect from imitations? Nothing that their god could do would match up to something like a Valkyrie." Gilgamesh, Caster, said to Naruto, who still looked annoyed. "Well, time to move on to stage 2 and open up both their heaven and hell," Artoria said, making both Gilgamesh, Caster, and 𝐸𝐵 nod their head and close their eyes for a second and then open them. "The heavens are open for them to enter," Gilgamesh, Caster, said to the people in the room. "The underworld is open for them to enter to get reinforcements," 𝐸𝐵 spoke out, making everyone in the room smile at their plan working. But the leaders. The faction leaders were currently in a meeting with each other about what happened during their fight with Naruto. "I don't know who that kid is, however Naruto has the same ability as Gilgamesh." 𝐸𝐳𝐴ZL spoke to the other leaders in the room. "He did say that he was the son of Ninsen, then that means that Naruto is Gilgamesh's brother. However, what the problem is that he has access to hundred upon hundreds of weapons from heroes of the past," Michael said, making 𝐸𝐴ZL nod his head. "Yeah, some of his weapons are extremely dangerous to us as he can use divine, holy and demonic weapon, which can cause a problem for each of our faction." 𝐸𝐴ZL spoke with a tremble at the thought of those weapons. Before their chat can continue, they felt their connection with their home realms repair within themselves. "I just felt my connection, the Grigori in the underworld repair itself. This probably means that I can teleport back to base." 𝐸𝐴ZL spoke out, making the other leaders nod their heads. "Same, I just felt my connection to the underworld," 𝐸𝐴ZL spoke out as confirmation to his fellow leader. "I can also feel my connection to the heavens, meaning we can all teleport back to our bases to gain reinforcements." Michael spoke out his part and recommendation. "Yeah, I wonder why though. I thought they severed our connection to each realm to prevent us from getting reinforcements. It was probably temporary and they thought they could kill us before we could get back to call for reinforcements." How arrogant on their part. 𝐸𝐴ZL added his theory for his fellow leader. "It doesn't matter as now we have our ways home to call for more forces. This way, we can storm Uruk and then we can move on to the other locations around Japan to force the Shinto gods into attacking us." Michael spoke out, making each leader nod their head in agreement and started to use this teleportation magic to go back home. With Naruto. "They've left for their realms," Naruto spoke out, interrupting the conversion that they were having, making everyone in the room grin at their plan working. "But in time to separate heaven from earth for good," Gilgamesh, Caster, said as he glowed for a second and then the glow disappeared. "It's done, they cannot interfere with humanity directly again," Gilgamesh, Caster, finished. Everyone turned to 𝐸𝐵 to see her glow dimly and waited for the news from her end. "The connection from the underworld to the earth has been severed and the fallen angels and devils can no longer directly interfere with humanity," 𝐸𝐵 spoke with a smile that was matched by the others in the room. With Michael. Michael had rallied all of the angels in the layers of heaven and told them what happened at the peace summit between the angels, fallen and devils, and how the Sumerian and Shinto entered a treaty with each other and declared war on the biblical faction. "We are all rallied to attack Uruk at the first chance that we can." Michael was interrupted when everyone angel felt the connection to the earth snap, causing panic. "Crap, they tricked us, this was their plan all along." Michael cursed out in anger of being played for as a fool. "Brother, the humans, how will we guide the humans to salvation?" Gabriel spoke out, catching Michael's attention. "I don't know," Michael gritted out in rage. With 𝐸𝐴ZL. The same thing had happened for 𝐸𝐴ZL. He was in the midst of telling everyone in the Grigori about what happened when they felt the same sensation as the angels. "Crap, we sure fell for their plans rather easily. To think that this was their plan all along and we fell for it," 𝐸𝐴ZL said out loud to his troops, shocking them that someone could outthink 𝐸𝐴ZL. "So, we have no contact with the human, how will we be able to collect and store information on sacred gears when we are stuck here?" A fallen angel cried out, making many of the fallen angels cringe. But 𝐸𝐴ZL, Rias and her peerage was in a meeting with the other devil kings, along with the clan heads and the elders, about what happened at the summit, along with the attack that planned out against Kyoto, when they all feel their connection snap, causing panic in the room. "Quite. This is indeed a problem, however I'm sure we can find a way around the problem." 𝐸𝐴ZL yelled to everyone in the room to catch their attention. "Lord, how will we be able to increase our numbers when we cannot resurrect humans?" one of the clean leaders called out. "I'm sure that 𝐸𝐴ZL can find a way around our problem," 𝐸𝐴ZL told them, making the panic lessen. "What about all of the stray devil? They will be able to cause more damage here now that they cannot leave." Another one of the clan heads stated his opinion. We will just have to take more care and kill them before they can 𝐫𝐵𝐵 spoke out to calm the leaders. Meanwhile 𝐸𝐈 was having a panic attack during the meeting as he too felt his connection snap. I can't go home to see my mom nor dad, they're going to worry, and what about school and all of the hot women in the human world that I would add to my harem, 𝐸𝐈 thought as his mind began to break. It has been 3 months since the Sumerian Shinto faction fought the biblical faction and tricked them into going back to their faction's HQ locations, only to be trapped there to prevent them from interfering with humanity directly anymore. The Sumerian Shinto had received many thank you letters and gifts from other pantheons who had problems with the biblical faction and their arrogance of how they invade other people's countries and then complain when they are attacked in compensation. One of the people who sent a thank you letter was Hades, as he had been having problems with the biblical faction and their constant revival of humans and turning them into angels or devils. Hades had constantly asked the angels and devils to stop as it was throwing off the balance of life and death, and the only response that he got was, "We need more angels devils to fill in the losses we suffered from the Great War." The response he got angered him so much that he was about to send in an army of grim reapers and legions of undead to attack both the underworld and heaven. However, thanks to Persephone calming him down, the crisis was averted. So far, the church was in panic as they could no longer connect to the angels and were at a loss at what to do and were in a lockdown ordered by the Pope in order to try and find a way to fix the problem. Many members of the church cut ties with it when they saw the chaos becoming either retired or rouge exorcists. The angels were lost as they had lost the only connection they had to their Father, humanity, and his wish for them to guide them to salvation and into the arms of heaven. Some of the angels had fallen from a range of emotions and had to be quarantined away from the other angels or were killed as they couldn't banish them from the heavens. Michael and the leaders of the angels were busy trying to find a way back to Earth. There were some fallen angels that were left behind that didn't join the fighting, nor did they leave for the underworld as they were partying or doing something else on a land owned by the fallen angels. Those left over went into hiding from fear of being hunted by the other pantheons. There were other problems within the Grigori, such as the fallen angels being split into 2 groups, the pro-war and pro-peace faction. One group wants large-scale war, while the other want peace to study sacred gears. The only reason why they haven't broken into civil war was because of the strict leadership keeping things under control. The devils didn't have that many problems, however the few they did have were causing massive problems because of being stuck in the underworld. The devils could no longer make or continue the contracts that they made with people, causing a loss of money, influence and power. Another problem they were experiencing was the stray devils. Because they couldn't escape from the underworld, they would either cause massive destruction, killing large amounts of devils, or would go into hiding not to be found. To counter this problem, groups of hunting parties were formed and started hunting them down for a reward. The rouge elements that were left behind by each of the faction were either killed by the pantheons of the world or were captured if they had special circumstances and were took back to their homes. However, because of this, most of the rouge element came together too from a sub-biblical faction, full of the rouge element from each faction to protect themselves from the other pantheons, and then they formed an alliance with the 𝐶𝐽's brigade. So far, the Sumerian Shinto pantheon took it upon themselves to keep the peace due to the fact they had some of the strongest people in the world as well as their desire for peace. They did this by opening communication channels between each pantheon where they can talk to each other. So far, the pantheons that have joined their want for peace are the Greeks, Norse, Hindu and the Egyptians, with many other pantheons talking about joining. After the fight with the biblical leaders and coming back, Naruto was dragged off by 𝐸𝐴, who used her powers to drag Amaterasu, Artoria, Mordred and Tamamo with them, much to Naruto's confusion. After a long series of questions and answers, 𝐸𝐴 gave each girl permission to go out with Naruto. During these 3 months, Naruto has been taking each other the girl out on date around Japan and Uruk, much to the girl's delight and happiness and other women's envy, as Amaterasu, Artoria, Mordred and Tamamo kept the other women away. However, 𝐸𝐴 scared the other women away with a sweat smile, 𝐾𝐨𝐮 smile. "So how are you enjoying the peace?" Naruto asked everyone in the room he was in. These people included Gilgamesh, Archer, and Castor, Tiamat, 𝐸𝐴, Ishtar and Amaterasu, Naruto, Mito and Ninsen. It's okay, it has been a bit boring as there is no more fighting between each of the factions, nor are there any more attacks on Uruk. Gilgamesh, Archer, told Naruto, who nodded his head in agreement. "I like the peace as I get to spend more time with my baby boys," Tiamat said as she pulled Naruto, Gilgamesh, Archer, and Castor into a bear hug, making their bones creak, making the girls in the room laugh at the boys. However, Ninsen glared at her. "And breathe." Gilgamesh, Archer, gasped out for a need of air. "My bones are breaking." Gilgamesh, Castor cried out in pain. "What is that light? Is it Kur?" Naruto rasped out, on the verge of passing out from the pain. After another minute of hugging the 3, Tiamat let the 3 of them go, making them drop to the floor in a heap. When 𝐸𝐴 and Amaterasu saw Naruto wasn't moving, they ran and started to coddle him and try to resuscitate him. "Naruto, don't go into the light," Amaterasu called out in a panic. "Don't worry Naruto, if you end up in Kur I'll come and get you," 𝐫𝐸𝐴𝐵 called out as she gave Naruto CPR. While this was happening, Ninsen ran to help both versions of Gilgamesh, who was still on the floor. "Don't worry my babies, I'll make sure you'll be fine. I won't let that baby stealer take you away from me," Ninsen called out as she ran to get a doctor. Meanwhile Tiamat still had a bright smile on her face as she was daydreaming. While this was happening, Naruto, Mito and Ishtar were still laughing at the whole scene that was happening in front of them. But the devils are currently in a meeting discussing about being stuck in the underworld, as well as the threat of the rogue devils that are still in the underworld as they cannot leave either. "Ajuka, have you found a way for us to leave the underworld yet?" 𝐸𝐴𝐵 asked his best friend and current Beelzebub, as well as the smartest devil in the underworld, making him the best person for the job of looking for a way out. "No, I haven't. The best way to describe our situation is if an admin has blocked our access to the human world, and I don't know who or what has blocked us." Ajuka told his fellow Satan the situation they are in. "Who could have done this to us?" one of the council men yelled out in rage. "It was 𝐸𝐴𝐵," Serafal told everyone in the room, making them go pale and go silent at the person who cut the off from the human world. "What have we done to deserve this?" another council man yelled out and demanded to know. 𝐸𝐴𝐵 was about to talk when he was interrupted by Serafal. According to the Sumerian and Shinto pantheon, constant attacks on the northern wall of Uruk, killing the innocent people of both Uruk and Japan, attempts at espionage of both Uruk and Japan, kidnapping of the people of Uruk and Japan, the extermination of Yokai races, and forced reincarnations of Yokai races into devils. Serafal told everyone in the room, making everyone look at 𝐸𝐴𝐵. "And why have we been accused of these things, and what evidence do they have to prove their claims?" 𝐸𝐴𝐵 asked, trying to find a way to solve their situation. "They showed us files upon files of the attack on their people and who did it. They didn't threaten us at first, they just wanted compensation for all of the attacks on their people and said if we refused, they would declare war on us," Serafal told the people in the room. "And what were these reparations they demanded?" 𝐸𝐴𝐵 asked the Satan, making her look at 𝐸𝐴𝐵. "They wanted a list of the rogue elements and the crimes they are guilty for from each faction so that they can pass them on to other pantheons so that they could hunt them down to protect their people. They also wanted financial support to be given to people who have lost someone to our rouge elements, and finally to close off all access to the human world unless through the proper channels." Serafal told everyone in the room, making them nod their heads. "They don't sound so bad, as it could have been worse, as they didn't make any demands for themselves, they just asked for things that would benefit everyone, even us, as we wouldn't need to send our own people to kill the strays, and making devils go through proper channels would make it easier to catch strays trying to leave. The only detriment to us would be having to compensate the families that have lost someone to a stray, however we have the money to do such a thing," a councilman said out loud, making some of the people in the room nod their heads. "And agree with you, however 𝐸𝐴𝐵 and the other leads at the meeting didn't agree with them and thus caused a war. The first thing the Sumerian Shinto pantheon did was close us off from Haven and the underworld before teleporting away. After a while of planning, we attacked Kyoto, however this was a trap as Uruk and Kyoto swapped places and then bombarded us with magical cannons. Then once our forces were lowered, one of their leaders attacked Michael, Azazel and 𝐸𝐴𝐵 and beat them. We then felt our connection to our home, we returned, however this was also a trap and they then cut our connection to the human world." Serafal told the people in the room, making them all look at an embarrassed 𝐸𝐴𝐵. "So, you not only refused their demands and declare war, but you also lost and got us trapped here?" 𝐸𝐴𝐵 asked 𝐸𝐴𝐵 rhetorically. "I thought we could win as we had a large force, as it was the combined force of angels, the fallen and devils, as well as their strongest leaders. We just weren't prepared to face the magical bombardment from Uruk that killed most of our forces." 𝐸𝐴𝐵 defended his actions to everyone in the room. "Well, you thought wrong, you not only lost, but you lost us our connection to humanity, and now we are like the other pantheons, as we can no longer directly interfere with humanity." 𝐸𝐴𝐵 spoke out angrily as this interfered with the devil's repopulation. "I'm calling an end to this meeting before it can get any more heated, and we will reconvene when we have cooled down and have more to add to the situation." Ajuka spoke out, catching everyone's attention, making them nodded their heads and leave the room. The other faction leaders meeting went the same way, with their people losing faith in their leaders as they refused to use a peaceful way to get out of the situation and decided to go to war with others just because they thought it wasn't fair. Writer's key. Sup normal speech. Sup a person's thoughts. 𝐫𝐴𝐵 name. 𝐫𝐴𝐵 technique or a power being used. It has been a week since the meeting about the aftermath of the fight between the Sumerian Shinto faction, and everyone was relaxing and enjoying themselves. Naruto was enjoying spending time with Naruto and Mito and showing them the rest of the world. "So Naruto, Mito, what do you think of this world?" Naruto asked his sisters while sitting down in a park in Japan. I like it here, it's peaceful, and I don't have to worry about someone coming to kill me because of Kurama, nor because I come from a different village. Naruko said as she looked around the park to see children enjoying themselves playing on the swings and other park equipment. I just happy that you and Mito can enjoy yourselves like normal children and teens, Naruto said as he gave Naruko a head pat making her smile while watching Mito play with the other kids in the park. Mito looked over to see Naruko getting her head pat and was getting jealous, so she ran over to Naruto and Naruko and grabbed Naruto's other hand and put it on her head. Naruto seeing this laughed and started to rub her head too. "Do you want to go home, Mito? So, we can get something to eat?" Naruto asked Mito, who nodded her head making Naruto and Naruko get up from the bench they were sitting on. Then Naruto picked up Mito and teleported home with Naruko. Naruto with Mito and Naruko walked into the kitchen to see Ninsen cooking dinner for everyone, so Naruto, Naruko and Mito walked to the throne room to eat something. After a while, Ninsen came into the throne room, carrying a large amount of food into the room. After eating, Ninsen told Naruto and Naruko to meet her in her room. "So why did you call us here, mother?" Naruto asked Ninsen, who was sitting on her bed relaxing. "I called you here because I have had a vision about the elemental nations. The villages have banded together to fight a man calling himself Mordred Uchiha, who has collected the other 7-tailed beasts and has started the 4th Great Ninja War." Ninsen told the sibling making them look at each other. "I don't see why you are telling me because I don't care about anyone over there as the ones that I do love and care about are here," Naruto said to the both of them. However, Naruko looked at him. "Please Nai-san, I know that you don't like the people there, however I still have some friends there that I would like to know are safe," Naruko told her brother making him sigh. "Fine, but you need to stay close to me as I won't allow the people there get their hands on you," Naruto told her making her nodded her head in agreement and ran out to get her stuff. "Make sure you look after her," Naruto Ninsen told her son making him smile at her. Because I did promise to look after her and make sure she was safe," Naruto said with a smile making Ninsen happy. Naruko soon returned with her ninja equipment and hugged Ninsen before running towards Naruto and then hugged him making him sigh and teleport them to the elemental nations. But the elemental nations. The beginning of the war, everything was going fine for the allied shinobi forces as they were able to fight and defeat all of the revived ninjas from the different villages as well as the Zetsu clones that were hidden among their forces and the army. However, when the man who called himself Mordred joined the fight, they were put onto the defensive as the man was able to revive the former Jinchuriki and implanted them with a Rinnegan and a Sharingan. Madara was able to transform into their tailed beast state and fight the Namikaze family due to the number of Biju. Kushina had a hard time trying to pin them down with her chakra chains and Natsu could only spam Rasen Shuriken at the Biju. However, it didn't have much effect against them. Minato, Kakashi and Guy was having a hard time fighting Madara. "How pathetic of you, Minato, you cannot even stop me. How can you or your son be the child of prophecy that you paradise yourselves?" as Madara mocked Minato, making him angry at being called out. However, before Minato could say anything, another Madara joined the fight and looked between the Madara and Minato, confusing Minato, Kakashi and Guy. "You done a good job following the plan," Obito Madara told the now named Obito, shocking everyone in the area that the person that they were fighting was their old friend. "Not exactly, we still don't have the Kyuubi as Minato has kept his son under heavy guard and his daughter has disappeared from the elemental nations as Zetsu wasn't able to find her," Obito told Madara making him frown. "Then I guess we are just going to take it from the boy and continue our plan," Madara said to Obito making him nod his head. "But I do have some good news, the Gold and Silver brothers were sealed in the Amber Purification Jar and the Benihisago, Crimson Gourd, meaning we have enough of the beast's chakra to awaken the beast," Obito said as he summoned both the Benihisago and Kahaku no Jime next to him while Madara slammed his hand on the floor, making the floor crack and rise as the Jed Masm forced itself out from the ground. Once the statue was fully revealed, chains came out of its mouth and pierced the 7 Biju and dragged them into its mouth, apparently eating them to the shock of everyone fighting. Then Obito took both the Benihisago and Kahaku no Jime and threw them into the statue's mouth. The statue then let out a massive roar and started to squirm as its eyes started to bleed and hold its head in pain. As it continued to roar, rocks started to float into the air to show the amount of power it has, shocking everyone minus Obito and Madara who were sitting down. After a while, dust and smoke was kicked up, blocking the statue from the view of everyone. Once the dust and smoke disappeared, it revealed a beast with 10 tails, that with a large cone on its back and a large single eye that looked like the combination of the Sharingan and Rinnegan. It then let out another loud roar. "Well then, let's get started on our plans for the new world," Madara spoke out with Obito giving a nod. However, before anyone could make another move, both sides heard clapping and turned to the source to find Naruto wearing his golden armor as well as Naruko wearing her ninja gear. They were both on a gold and emerald platform floating in the air. "Oh, this is perfect, Naruko. It seems that these two have managed to revive the beast all of the Biju originate from, and if my senses are spot on, it holds the power of a primordial god. Naruto said with a large smirk that made Naruko sigh at her brother. Please Nai-san, control yourself, you're surrounded by enemies on both sides, this is the time to be cautious, Naruko reprimanded her brother who didn't look bothered. How can I not be excited, Naruko? I'm about to fight a primordial like my brother did in the past. I'm going to give you control of the Vimana, use it to protect yourself while I fight the beast. Naruto said as he jumped from the Vimana to the ground and walked to the combatants. Oh, and who might you be? Madara asked, interested in the boy in front of him as he walked closer to them. Me, I'm Naruto and you're in the way of my fun, Naruto said as he walked past Madara and Obito and towards the 𝐤𝐢𝐵 who looked at Naruto. Madara, angered by the disrespect, went to attack Naruto. However, before he could hit Naruto with his gunbai, he was pierced by a bunch of spears, pinning him to the ground. However, as he was an Edo Tensei, he was still alive and glared at Naruto, who glared back. Insects have no business interrupting a fight between godlike beings, Naruto told Madara and continued to walk till he was in front of the 𝐤𝐢𝐵 and then jumped and punched the beast in the head, forcing it back to the shock of everyone present. The 𝐤𝐢𝐵 let out an angered roar and started to flail around, trying to hit Naruto. However, Naruto simply jumped back to a safe distance and clicked his teeth in annoyance. This isn't even a fun fight, you're just a mindless beast right now, Naruto sighed and then looked at both Madara and Obito and smiled. You two must have a way of controlling the beast if your plan involved reviving it. So, I'm going to let you do your thing in the interest of having a better fight. Naruto told both Madara and Obito, to their shock and the Namikaze family's horror. Naruto made the spears that kept Madara pinned to the ground return to his vault, making Madara regenerate the missing pieces and jumped onto the 𝐤𝐢𝐵's head along with Obito and used some of Zetsu's flesh to attach to the 𝐤𝐢𝐵. While that was happening, the reinforcements from the elemental nations arrived to see the 𝐤𝐢𝐵, Madara, Obito and Naruto staring at each other. The reinforcements quickly met up with Minato and his team to find out what happened. What going on? Minato yelled to his fellow Kage, wanting to know that has happened during their fight with Madara. It seemed we were all tricked, as the Madara that declared war on us was in fact my old student that has been trained by Madara to fulfill their plan to remake the world, and now the real Madara has been revived and both have now revived the 𝐤𝐢𝐵 to complete their plans, and the man in the golden armor is my lost son Naruto. Minato told everyone, making the gasp in shock at who and what they will be fighting to end the war. We need to go over there and help him, Gaara said to everyone present, only to receive a shack of the head from Minato. We shouldn't interrupt Naruto's fight as he will kill us if we interfere, as he seems happy to fight the 𝐤𝐢𝐵 for some reason and even pinned down Madara for trying to stop his fight with it. Minato said to everyone, making some of them look nervous. However, before anyone could talk, they felt a large amount of chakra and looked to its source to fight the 𝐤𝐢𝐵, preparing to fire a Bijudama, making everyone pale at the attack. However, before anyone could retreat, they saw a massive golden ripple appear above Naruto. The 𝐤𝐢𝐵 then shot its Bijudama at Naruto, who didn't look scared or worried as he shot 𝐫𝐴𝐵𝐵, the mountain cutting blade, at the 𝐤𝐢𝐵 that met the Bijudama and cut through it and cut off 6 of the 𝐤𝐢𝐵's tails. Ahahaha, this is the fun that I have been waiting for, continue to entertain me more, Naruto laughed out as he had a massive smirk on his face, infuriating both Madara and Obito. The 𝐤𝐢𝐵 then regenerated its lost tails. However, the mass on its body started to move around and shift towards its tails, making them transform into 10 tails with hand and had a slimmer body, and its mouth and eye have moved. It also grew a crown. It then let out a massive roar that summoned earthquakes, floods, thunderstorms and tornadoes to ravage the land. Naruto was still laughing as it continued its attack, as if it wasn't anything to be worried about. However, the Shinobi Alliance were safe as they had pulled back from the fighting to see what would happen. Once all of the natural disasters were finished, everyone held their breaths and looked for Naruto. However, they couldn't find him, making Madara to smirk and was going to say something, however was interrupted when they heard clapping again and saw Naruto sitting on rubble. Truly the power of a primordial doesn't disappoint. However, it's still disappointing as you still cannot use that power properly, as you are simply using the 𝐤𝐢𝐵 as a tool and not channeling it properly, so hurry up with the next stage of your plan. Naruto said with a frown as he stood up and walked towards the 𝐤𝐢𝐵, making Madara and Obito sweat a bit. Obito then quickly went though hand size and slammed his hand on the 𝐤𝐢𝐵 and started to absorb it into himself, making Naruto pause in his walk and look at what was happening and started to smile. After the whole 𝐤𝐢𝐵 was absorbed into Obito, his appearance changed. His skin was now pale with scale-like marks down the right side of his body and his hair lost its color. He also had 10 black balls in a circle around his back. Finally getting serious, then I might as well try a bit as well, Naruto said as he sends his golden chest plate back to his gate, leaving him shirtless with red marking across his chest. When the women looked him as well as Naruto, they had to look away with a large blush on their face. Naruto proceeds to open a gate next to his right arm and stick his arm into the gate and pulled back to revealing Kid wrapped around his arm and summons 𝐫𝐽 in his left hand and face the new 10-tailed Jinchuriki. While this was happening, the allied shinobi forces had the shock of a lifetime to see the past Hokage come back to life, and after explaining the cause of events that left Hashirama depressed at how far his friend had fallen, they turned to the battlefield to see Obito and Naruto ready to fight each other. So, who is that boy over there that ready to face the man with the chakra signatures of all the Bijuu and standing next to Madara? Tobirama asked the Kage present, making everyone look at Minato for an explanation. The boy is my son who was kidnapped when he was 5 away from the hospital as he was constantly sick and was in and out of comas. As for the person next to Madara, that would be Obito. Minato told everyone, shocking them that this was his long-lost son who was fighting the Juubi. Before anyone else could ask questions, a voice interrupted them, making them look to the person who spoke to see a girl on a floating platform. That is not the whole truth, Minato, it was a half-truth told to make yourself look innocent. The girl on the platform spoke, making Minato and Kushina sweat a bit in fear of the truth getting out to other people. And you are young lady? Hashirama asked the girl, who looked at him and smiled at him. It is a pleasure to meet you, 𝐫𝐸 and 𝐵𝐸. My name is Naruto, and that over there is my brother Naruto. Naruto introduced herself, the previous Hokage, with a bright smile. So, what do you mean they were telling half-truths? Tobirama asked Naruto, interested in what was being hidden from them. It is true that my brother was kidnapped from the hospital and that he was sick and constantly in and out of comas. However, the truth is that during the Kyuubi's attack on the village 16 years ago, Minato split and sealed the Kyuubi's yin and yang into me, and then Natsu. However, the seal he used was the Reaper Death Seal that requires the soul of the user to be paid after the sealing, but Minato was a coward and used Naruto as a sacrifice and lost 2/3 of his soul as a result. This made Naruto very fragile and sick because he was slowly dying as he lost the majority of his soul. Naruto told the people about what happened to Naruto, making everyone glare at Minato, who looked pale. So how is he fit and healthy now? Tobirama continued to ask, intrigued by the tale of Far, and wanted to hear then end. The goddess called Ninsen was traveling around her world and spotted a dimensional tear and decided to explore and ended up in the elemental nations, and after traveling for a little bit, she reached Konoha and decided to help a bit, so she went to the hospital and healed some people. That was when she spotted my brother and was shocked at what happened to him and how strong he was, as normally when someone loses that much of their soul they quickly waste away and die. However, my brother continued to live for 5 years. Ninsen was moved by my brother's strength to keep living and decided to help by giving part of her essence to him, healing his soul with hers. Uruk explained, making Tobirama nod his head. But why did she take him away from them, and why don't you call them your parents? Hashirama asked, as he was now interested too in her story. Ninsen was going to leave my brother in the hospital. However, she then went to check on Minato and Kushina, only to hear about them wanting to kill Naruto as they thought it was for the best, when really Minato wanted to get rid of Naruto to focus on me and Natsu. So, 𝐸 quickly went back to the hospital and took him with her back home to raise him, Naruto explained, making everyone glare harder at Minato and the Kushina. As to the reason why I don't call them my parents is because I was told a terrible truth that would destroy all trust for Konoha, 𝐫𝐸, 𝐵𝐸. Surely you noticed the lack of redheads in the army behind you? Naruto asked the two brothers, who looked behind them to see she was right, there was only 3 redheads present. You're right, I'm only counting 3 people here with red hair. Where is the Uzumaki clan? Hashirama asked, making Kushina to pale deeper from fear. The answer to your question, Lord 𝐫𝐸, is that they're all dead except Kushina and her family and the girl over there next to Orochimaru. Naruto answered the man's question, making him look sad and on the verge of breaking down. A true testament to his love for Mito and her family. What happened to them? Hashirama yelled, demanding to know, and released his chakra, cracking the ground. The official story is that they were wiped out by the combined efforts of Kiri, Iwa and Kumo, as they were afraid of their potential to become a major village in the future. However, the truth is that Kushina sold out her village to Konoha, as she wasn't going to be the clan head, as it was going to go to her older sister, and that Konoha leaked the secrets to the other villages, giving them the way to attack Izugakur. Naruto said, making Hashirama look to Kiri, then to Iwa, and then finally to Kumo. However, when he heard the full story, he was in shock. My home that I built and sacrificed for betrayed Mito's clan, Hashirama thought with some tears in his eye as he looked at the floor. He could even tell Tobirama was both sad and angry to the news. Excuse me, Naruto, why is it that we cannot feel the fighting that should be happening right now? Tobirama asked, trying to change the subject to distract Hashirama from the sad news. Oh, that's simple. My brother gave me one of his treasures that stops time for a short period so that I could explain thing to the leader. However, since you were here, I just decide to use it now, Naruto explained as she lifted the device, making time slow down, making Tobirama look towards where the fight should be and saw that no one was moving. Brother, once the young lady stops the device, do you think you could handle Madara? As I get the feeling that he would interrupt the fight between Naruto and Obito, Tobirama asked his brother, only to get a nod in return, making Tobirama look towards Naruto and nod his head. Once Naruto saw that she deactivated the device that stopped time. When Hashirama got his bearings, he started to walk towards Madara with a determination. With each step the ground would crack and his armor would clack together. Once he was in front of Madara, they both looked towards each other. I see you were brought back to Hashirama, are you ready for another dance between us? Madara asked with a large smile on his face, however he only got a tired glare as a response. Madara, I am tired of constantly fighting as it goes against all that I built Konoha for. A place where children wouldn't need to kill other children, where fellow men could work together for a common goal and not slaughtering each other. However, as one fossil to another, I will fight you till the end. Hashirama said as he got into a fighting stance with Madara doing the same. After a while they jumped towards each other with their fists meeting each other. With Naruto. Have you got your bearing yet, or is that power still tearing you apart? Naruto asked. He looked at Obito with boredom. Instead of answering Naruto's question, Obito raised his right arm with his palm facing Naruto. After a few seconds a hole appeared in his hand and one of the black orbs shot towards Naruto at insane speeds. However, Naruto simply raised his right arm and used Enkidu to deflect the orb away from him. However, the orb quickly returned to Obito. Oh, interesting, it seems you have managed to keep your sense of self. Continue to entertain me, Naruto said as he ran towards Obito and thrusted forward at Obito, who just raised his head and used one of the black balls to form a wall to protect him. Obito then changed the wall into a hand and went to grab Naruto, however Naruto simply dodged to the right and let the hand pass by. Why do you stand in my way? All I want is to make the perfect illusion so that everyone may have their own heaven, Obito asked, making Naruto look at him. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't even be here if my sister didn't ask me to. However, I'm interested in this power you are using and how far it can go. However, now upon hearing your reason why you've done all of this, I just want to laugh at your childish dream, Naruto said with a slight laugh, making Obito mad. Childish dream? What would you know about something about being childish when you have never suffered in your life and never felt the pain of losing someone precious to you? Obito yelled. However, once he finished, he felt an enormous force trying to pin him down to the ground, but he was able to stand. I haven't suffered. I don't know what it is like to lose someone precious to me. Do you have any clue to who you are talking to? I have suffered more than any mortal man. I have had part of my soul ripped from me as a baby and was constantly on the verge of dying, and I still suffer. I suffer every time I look at someone in this dirty place, as my eyes reveal everything about a person. Their past, their present as well as their future. I know more about the person as well as their value before they even introduce themselves to me. That Obito Uchiha is true suffering, knowing what everyone around is truly like, despite their best ways of trying to hide it, and that is why I call your dream a childish one, Naruto yelled and then continued to explain himself to Obito, not noticing that other people heard him as well as Naruto, who had tears in her eyes. Obito was about to speak, however, before he could Naruto launch himself at Obito with 𝐫𝐞𝐽, ready to pierce his chest. However, before the spear could reach Obito, levitated into air. Think the managed to buy himself some time. He started to catch his breath, however before he could rest properly, he heard a voice. 𝐫𝐞𝐽, Naruto called out, making Obito look at Naruto as he threw 𝐫𝐞𝐽 towards Obito, who used the black orbs too from another wall to protect himself. However, as the spear touched the black wall, it changed its trajectory around the wall and pierced Obito straight through the heart, making him collapse to the floor. While on the floor, Obito managed to remove the spear from his chest and regenerate from the hole that formed. After a while, Obito stood up and shot 4 of the black rod in 4 different directions and then went though hand size, making a red square barrier for surrounding both him and Naruto. Oh, and what are you planning on doing? Naruto asked as he looked at Obito. However, the response he got was Obito placing his hands on the ground, making a giant grey tree grow with large red petals with large holes in the middle. I'm just going to make sure you are wiped out entirely before collecting the remaining Kyuubi chakra, Obito said as he used another of the black orbs around him. Once surrounded, the tree started to produce large Bijudamas. Oh, so you plan on using the barrier to increase your firepower? However, Naruto didn't finish as he used the Gate of Babylon again to making Kidu's chains wrap around him entirely. Once the Bijudamas fired and their explosions went off and then condensed by the barrier, the only thing left in the area was a large black ball and a ball of gold and silver chains. After a while, the black ball and the chains started to disappear. They revealed 2 perfectly fine people who only looked at each other, one with boredom and other with annoyance. This isn't fun anymore, you're just a one-trick pony, Naruto said and opened the Gate of Babylon again and shot a sword from the gate, cutting Obito's head off, making him drop to the ground, not regenerating. Harp, you truly are a useful sword to have, Naruto said to the sword before returning it back to his other weapons. Naruto was about to walk away however stopped when a giant tree grew from Obito's body. The tree looked like a larger version than the one Obito used to launch multiple Bijudama at him, as well as the fact I looked like it was getting ready to bloom, it also had large roots growing everywhere. But Naruto and the allied shinobi forces were watching the fight between Naruto and Obito with great interest, as both were using technique they have never seen or heard of, and then heard Naruto yell in rage. Tobirama was one of the first people to ask a question. What techniques is your brother using, Naruto? Tobirama asked the young girl who was still sitting on the flying golden machine. One is called the Gate of Babylon. It is the place where my brother keeps all of his treasure that he and his Nai-san found throughout the years. He is then able to connect the space in the real world with the space in his vault to launch the weapons stored there at Mach 3, Naruto told the man, making him perk up at the information given. So, you mean that you have another older brother? And he has the same power as Naruto? And when you say connect space, do you mean your brother has his own pocket dimension? Naruto paused for a while as she saw the barrier being made by Obito and then saw the massive plant grow from the ground and then started to make multiple Bijudama that made her worry however, once she spotted Naruto being surrounded by Enkidu, she knew he would be fine. No, he is Naruto's Nai-san due to the process that healed Naruto, making Ninsen his Kasen, making him a demigod. Yes, Naruto does have the same powers as Gilgamesh, however they are equal in technique and power, as Naruto liked to use the weapons stored in his vault or use them a condensed bombardment, however Gilgamesh version if different as he sacrificed most of the bladed weapons in his vault to make powerful cannons. So, he can only use items with techniques imprinted into them, however, if he wants to Gilgamesh can take control of the cannons to produce a wide-range bombardment. Naruto explained as she watched the dust and smoke settle to see that both Naruto and Obito were perfectly fine. And yes, they have their own personal pocket dimension that holds all the world's treasures. Naruto finished making Tobirama and everyone else were wide-eyed at the explanation of Naruto and his brother's powers. And by all the world's treasures you mean? Tobirama was about to continue but was cut off by Naruto. Yes, both Naruto and Gilgamesh have every weapon that exists and will exists, an unlimited amount of money in any currency as well as gems. It is the reason why he is one of the most powerful people ever, as well as the richest, Naruto explained, making some of the greedy people nearby, Minato, Kushina and Natsu, want to get that power for themselves. What does Naruto mean when he said he knew a person before they even introduced themselves? Minato asked as he was interested in that power, making Naruto spare a quick glace at him and then shrug. The power is called Shanakba-Amuru, and it lies in Naruto's and Gilgamesh's eyes, and it is as much of a curse as it is a blessing, as it forces both Naruto and Gilgamesh to see the past, present and future of the person they are looking at, and if they wanted to, they could do the same with objects. When Naruto first awoke this power, he started crying as he saw Gilgamesh's past. That is what he means when he already knows you before you introduce yourself. Naruto finished explaining some of Naruto's powers to see Naruto open his gate and shot a sword out, killing Obito. Well, that was anticlimactic. I thought I would be a long fight given how faster Obito could regenerate. Kushina said to herself, however everyone heard her. Nai-san has weapons in his vault that can kill gods as well as immortals, Naruto said simply to the shock of everyone around her. The allied forces and the Edo Tenseis watched as a massive tree grew from Obito's corpse and the roots starting to spread out, catching some shinobi off guard and were instantly drained of their chakra and were killed. Naruto used the Vimana to fly higher to avoid the root while the others simply cut them. What no one noticed was the small root wrapped around Natsu's leg and absorbing the Kyuubi's chakra from his body. But Hashirama. The fight between Hashirama and Madara wasn't getting anywhere, as they were both Edo Tenseis and could never give the other a killing blow, as they would just regenerate from any damage done to each other, so they were in a stalemate. However, their fight was interrupted when massive roots spread out during their fight and when they looked at the source. They spotted a giant tree next to Naruto and no Obito in sight. So, it seems that your student got himself killed by the boy other there, Hashirama said, trying to get his old friend to give up and surrender. So, the final stages of my plan are started. Sorry Hashirama, but this is the end our dance, Madara said to Hashirama and then started to sprint towards the massive tree. Once he was right next to it, he placed his hand on it and started to absorb it. After Madara finished absorbing the tree, his appearance changed, as well as both his hair and skin paled, and now wore different cloths that had 10 Magatama on the back and 10 black balls floating around his back. So, this is the power of the Sage of Six Paths. It is truly the power of the gods. Madara spoke loudly for everyone to hear. Oh, so you want to fight me as well? I hope you're a lot better than the one before you, as he was quite the bore. Naruto said, walked 15 meters away from Madara with a large smile on his face. Trust me, I am, Madara said as shot the black orbs at Naruto, making his sigh and open his gate and shot some nameless swords to pierce the orbs to the ground. You just said you were a lot better than the person before you, yet you just did the same tactic as him, Naruto said, bored, and saw Hashirama next to him. I see that you have finished your opponent, sorry for not doing the same, Hashirama said to Naruto, who looked at and then smiled. Think nothing of it, however, it is a pleasure to meet you in person, Hashirama, and it's nice to know that the rumor and history that spoke of you were true. If my brother were here, he would have surely found you worthy of speaking to him, Naruto said to the resurrected Hokage. Naruto then sprinted towards Madara, and the two started to exchange blows with each other, however neither could land a damaging blow on the other person. That was when Madara started to use his limbo technique to help during the fight. TCH, so you have a technique that relies on placing a clone in a bordering dimension, so that it can still interact with things in this dimension. How annoying, truthfully everyone in this dimension is annoying. You have the gift of chakra and to do anything with it, and you only use it for war. Now hear my judgment and die. Naruto yelled in annoyance and started to open more gates that shot down, pinning the limbo clone in place. When Naruto found the original Madara, he had 2 Rinnegan and had a large smile on his face. The time to show you and everyone why I'm the new god of this world. Madara said as he lifted his hand into the air, and a black ball with a white outline appeared and then shot out more orbs that looked the same. 𝐫𝐞𝐻 Tensei, Madara called out, and all of the rock in the area started to float up into the air, forming miniature moons that then started to fall towards everyone. However, before anyone could do anything, they heard laughter. Now this is fun, Naruto laughed as he summoned 100 gates and then started to fire swords, spears and other bladed weapons like a machine gun at the falling moons, breaking the moons apart. However, this was a distraction as Madara floated up into the air and broke off the headpiece on his head to reveal another eye and cast the infinite Tsukiyomi on the moon, changing its appearance to look like the Renni Sharingan. Everyone in the elemental nations were shocked when they saw the moon change its appearance and were starting to panic. However, before anything could happen, the moon started to glow as bright as the sun, covering the nations in its light. After a while, everyone froze and had the Rinnegan appear in their eyes and were then wrapped up in the vines from the tree's roots. The only ones safe from this were Naruto, the Edo Tenseis and the Namikaze family, Sasuke and Naruto, as they were shielded by Sasuke Susanoo. It seems that this was his plan all along, to trap everyone in a Jinjutsu to make everyone live the life they want. What a stupid man that refuses to accept the reality that is around him. Naruto spoke distastefully, getting an annoyed look from Naruto. You knew this would happen, Naruto, there is no point denying it, Naruto said to her brother, only to get a smirk in response. Of course I knew what was going to happen, I just didn't see the point in stopping him from doing it, as this will all be over soon anyway, Naruto told her mysteriously, making her pout, making him laugh. They didn't need to wait long to fight Madara again, as a cloud blocked the moon, covering the area in shadow, allowing them to fight Madara. Well done for someone who kept telling others to accept the reality of the world we live. You surely still live in an illusion if you think giving everyone here their own personal heaven was a good thing, because trust me, it wasn't. Naruto spoke as he walked forwards ready to fight Madara again. However, before Madara could get into a prepared stance, a black hand pierced his torso and then started to meld with him and then forced him to absorb all the chakra from the ninja on the battlefield, making him bloat up. After a while, the bloating finally stopped and Madara started to slim down to reveal a woman with the same characteristics as Madara. Everyone, let me introduce you to the mother of chakra and the mother of the sage of sixth path, Kaguya Satsuki, Naruto spoke with excitement, shocking everyone present. Once the woman opened her eyes, everyone could see that they were the Byakugan and that she had tears in her eyes when she looked between Naruto and Sasuke. Asura, Indra, Kaguya whispered to herself, however everyone could hear her. Mother, that isn't them, just 2 remnants of their chakra. We still need to collect all of their chakra and from everyone else. However, be careful of the man wearing the gold armor, as he was able to kill the pseudo-Jubi Jinchuriki. The black blob that betrayed Madara said to the woman, making her narrow her eyes at Naruto. Well, if it isn't Black Zetsu. So, you finally succeeded in your plan to revive your mother, and all of the manipulation that you did in the past has finally paid off, from the changing of the sage's tablet to setting the 2 siblings and progenitors of the Senju and Uchiha clans to fight each other. Well done, though it is a shame that you have targeted my sister, as there is one thing I will not allow. Naruto spoke, and at the end everyone could feel Naruto's presence on the battlefield, as it felt like the sun came down to the earth. And that is allow anyone to hurt Naruto. Naruto finished and made the ground around him crack and rise into the air due to Naruto's presence and the power he was releasing. We need to retreat, Naruto isn't playing anymore and will kill everyone in his way, Naruto said as she used the Vimana to pick everyone up and get to a safe distance from the fight. What's going on, Naruto? Why is Naruto so mad? Minato asked Naruto, who just looked at him and sighed. What I didn't say about Naruto's past was that when he was out of his comas, the only person that he would usually see when he walks up would be me, and we spend most of our time together in the hospital. Naruto always felt weak and useless as he couldn't protect the one person who he coincided family. However, once Naruto was healed, he made a promise to himself that he would always protect me, Naruto explained, making everyone present glare to the Namikaze family, making the flinch. With Naruto started to walk towards both Kaguya and Zetsu, making them tense. However, before they could do anything they were trapped in chains that came from two gates, making it impossible to move. Once Naruto was close enough, he opened hundred upon hundred of gates that filled the sky, and in each of the gates was a bladed weapon that looked ready to stab other Kaguya and Zetsu everywhere possible. Die. Naruto yelled and waved his arm forwards, launching the weapons at the two of them. However, before any of the weapons could hit Kaguya and Zetsu, everyone was teleported to a different dimension with lava everywhere. DCH, how annoying, you're just like the rest, using dimensions to help you to fight and escape, Naruto spoke angrily as he stepped on a floating device to stop him from falling into the lava. Mother, you need to kill him first, he is the true danger here, Zetsu told Kaguya, who nodded her head and started to project her bones out of her skin and launched the bones at Naruto, who simply dodged right. When Naruto was about to attack Kaguya, he saw her disappear into a black tear in space and was on guard of another attack. Naruto didn't need to wait long as he sensed someone come from behind him, so he opened his gates to shoot the person behind him, forcing Kaguya to dodge the attack. I'm getting tired of this and the waves of enemies that I have to keep fighting one after another, so I'm going to finish this now, Naruto spoke as he opened a gate above his hand and the gate dropped a strange-looking key. When Naruto saw the key, she went wide-eyed and started to panic, and everyone next to her saw this. What is wrong, Naruto? And what is that key? Hashirama asked the girl as he had never saw he like this before, making him worried. That key is to open the gate to Naruto's strongest weapon, and if he is using it then it means that he truly wants to kill his opponents. Naruto said, catching everyone's attention about what was about to come. Everyone watched as the key disappeared and transformed into a red ball of energy that floated up. Once it was at Naruto eye level, a golden handle appeared that Naruto grabbed and dragged out for everyone to see. Yeah, I didn't know how to describe EA, so I'll just show you an image. What kind of weapon is that? Minato asked as the design didn't make sense. Yeah, right, the idiot is probably trying to be cool to impress us, Natsu said out loud, only to be on the receiving end of stares that told him he was crazy. That weapon is the Sword of Rupture. A sword so strong that it can destroy the fabric of reality and distort time. Naruto said, making everyone pale at the thought of the weapon. I shall perform this final blow as a parting gift to you. They finally heard Naruto speak as he put the sword in front of him. I will tell you of the beginning. Heaven and earth split, nothingness congratulated creation, my sword of rupture cleaved the world. When they heard Naruto continue to speak, they noticed that the sword was releasing a red aurora, putting everyone on edge. Mortar of the stars, heaven's hell is the eve of creation celebration. Now you shall die and be silent. As Naruto continued to speak, he lifted the sword above his head. They noticed that the segments on the blade started to spin and generate a large amount of wind and red lighting, and it was focused on the tip of the sword to make a red ball of energy. Enuma Elish. Once Naruto finished his chant, he swung the sword forward with the tip pointed at Kaguya and Zetsu. Then after the swing, a large beam of energy followed behind the swing that completely consumed both Kaguya and Zetsu, destroying the both of them before they could escape of dodge. It also set off a large number of explosions, throwing lava everywhere. Once the beam of energy and the explosions calmed down, there was nothing left of Kaguya and Zetsu as they were completely destroyed and wiped out, shocking everyone present at the sword's power. I told you I was the strongest sword, and that was him holding back, Naruto said to everyone present, making the pale at the thought of facing that weapon. After a while Naruto walked back to the group. So how are we going to get back home? Kushina questioned everyone, only to receive a shrug from the ninja present and making Naruto sigh and use the gate of Babylon to teleport everyone home. When everyone got their bearing, they noticed everyone was still in the infinite Tsukiyomi, making everyone look at Naruto again to fix it, making him annoyed. Why are you looking at me? I have no way of fixing this, as I don't have chakra. However, both Naruto and Sasuke can release the technique as they are the reincarnations of the sons of the Sage of Six Paths. Naruto said to everyone and then proceed to explain to free everyone. Naruto and Sasuke then did the required hand sign to free everyone, the moon reverted back to normal, and everyone was released from the cocoons that trapped everyone that was in the Jinjutsu. Well, we are done here, Naruto, we're going home before mother started to worry about us. Naruto said as he walked over to Naruto and put a hand on her shoulder. Stop, you are under arrest for attacking Konoha ninja and kidnapping my daughter. You are required to hand over all of your weapons and techniques to me, Minato yelled out, making Naruto, Naruto and the resurrected Hokages blink in surprise. Boo ha 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 ha. The response Minato got was Naruto's mocking laughter, angering him the disrespect. "No, I don't think I will come along Naruto, Mito must be worried," Naruto said as both he and Naruto disappeared into golden dust, leaving the Namikaze family alone with the resurrected Hokages. Earth. Naruto and Naruto appear from the golden dust in the middle of the throne room in Uruk to the surprise of many. However, Gilgamesh, Caster, looked interested in their story. "So how was your trip back home?" Gilgamesh, Caster, asked the two, and the response that he got was Naruto's bright smile and Naruto's eye to twitch. It was terrible, none of them were a good fight as they constantly used dimensional attacks that got boring after a while, and the big bad was even worse as she could move everyone to a different dimension. "It got to the point where I wanted to finish the battle quickly and go home, so I used 𝐸 to kill her." Naruto explained how he felt to his brother, making Gilgamesh, Caster, to sigh. "At least it's one less danger to worry about," Gilgamesh, Caster, said, making Naruto to grumble and Naruto to laugh at her brother. I hope you guys liked the story. If you did, click on any of the videos which are popping on the screen right now. I promise you'll love them too. If you like my videos you can like and subscribe too. I'll see you on another amazing What If video guys. Love you all, peace.